Hey, it's Deborah with Flipping 50, and I'm here with another bone density tip. All right, this one is for those of you who are apparently healthy. You are strong, you're active, and you're looking to improve your bone density, and you're concerned about it. Maybe there's family history for you. Maybe it's just that you know that starting at the age of 30, we lose 1 to 3% of bone density every year. During menopause, guess what? We accelerate that loss to 3 to 5% of our total bone density every year for up to 3 to 5 years. So even in the best case scenario, that's 3 years at a loss of 3%. That's losing 9% of your bone density just because you're going through menopause. As estrogen goes down, we have a harder time holding on to that bone. So what do you do about it? All right, because you're gonna be losing bone density for the rest of your life. I don't know about you, but if we start doing that math and you're gonna live to 100, we've got a problem, girl. Okay, so let's get started. How can you increase bone density? That's being very optimistic. We may not have a huge opportunity to do that, but we can stop losses. That can be significant. If you're losing anywhere from 1 to 3 or even 3 to 5% a year, and we stop that, we've made a significant change already. But there are some studies that also show that we can increase by 1 or 2%, especially if you have been sitting on the couch. And if you're doing everything you need to do with your diet and your nutrition and avoiding the things you don't need to do. And potentially you may want to look at what a supplement could do for you. So I'll talk more about that later. But right now, you're at home. What can you do? Like today, right? Let me tell you, there's some confusion about what exercise actually helps bone density. So watch this. Think of it as a quiz, all right? So if I'm doing this versus, that is A, marching in place, versus this, that is B, jogging in place. Which one has more bone density benefit? A or B? And the answer is B, the running. Why? Because there's a little bit more impact, right? Because this has a heel strike, and that will be good, but really it's gonna hit my ankle. And then that doesn't climb up quite as much because it's not very much pressure. It's like somebody tapping you on the shoulder, right? It's like you can ignore it. But if I do this, now it's like somebody slapping you on the face. You can't ignore that quite so much, right? Don't hit them back. But we've got a little bit more impact. Might come into the heel, but it also might rise up so that lower leg and shin and parts of you up here are also gonna get it. Now, let me give you this, A, B, C. So we've got walking, we've got jogging, and we've got jumping. A, B, or C, which one gives you more bone density? And the answer is, I know you got this one right, C, right? More impact, because I'm jumping. So if you're apparently healthy, you should actually be doing a little jumping. So if you're apparently healthy, and we were doing lateral movements, we just did some of these earlier today with my membership group and our After 50 Fitness Formula for Women group in our interval workout. So I'm doing this, that was option 1. And then I'm doing this. This is option 2. And then I'm doing this. Option 3. You can see where this is going. So option 3 had the most lift and emphasis. But here's the difference. I want you to think about this. Which one of these versus this gives you the most bone density? I'm gonna save you because the answer is neither one. They're both good. And ideally you do both, because if you're always only doing this, you're only putting that impact on your body in the same exact way every time, and your body needs variety. of direction. We want to stress that bone out laterally, as well as from the ground force. And we also want to do some of these going forward or going backward. Those kind of plyometrics coming from all directions at different times are so very good for you. And they will benefit also your balance. So you've got to have more control. Know where your body is in space. If you're going forward and backward, and you're not just right over your center of gravity. So ways to help, all right? For those of you that have already known osteoporosis and you're feeling vulnerable because you've been given that diagnosis, if you learned that yesterday, and before that, the day before, the week before, the month before, you'd been a very active person, I want you to think about this. What if you didn't know? And there are some things that will make you more at risk. For instance, you're not used to downhill skiing, and the family suddenly suggests, let's do a ski trip to Colorado. That's probably not in your best interest, right? Now that you know, and you're not used to it. But if you are used to it, you're doing things already. You have been a runner. You have been doing some jump rope. Continue to do that. My suggestion would be, unless a doctor has says, you are extremely fragile, let's not do any more jumping exercises, then assume that a little bit of plyometric work is actually going to help you out. If you're in a point where you have arthritis and osteoporosis, you kind of are on the continuum where with weight training you need two different kinds of exercise, as well as with your resistance training. So I would love for you to do that higher impact work, but you actually can't because it causes you to feel pain either during or after, or even during, after, and before. We don't want that. Risk reward always, okay? We always go with how do we reduce the risk, increase the reward. I would, if I could, put you in water, have you do water walking. So although we've removed the effect of gravity, we have you moving in a resistance against water that is 12 times that on land. So we have you walking with power, backwards and forwards and sideways. And we have you pushing and pulling and moving your arms in a way that actually increases synovial fluid in your joints. And you get that little bit of benefit to the strength and movement that makes you feel good. And then we call this surf and turf. You're in the water, but you're doing strength training like it is your job, because it is. So if you really care about your bone density, whether you have arthritis or you don't, strength training is a girl's best friend. And I will talk a little bit more about what is it, all right? So you'll see, if you wanna go at length and watch the video I did just yesterday, sharing things all week long, you actually want to make sure that you're doing strength training with things that are lifelike, right? That you're overloading in a way that you pick up the dog or the cat or the grandchildren. Tubing exercises don't transfer quite as well as weight training with dumbbells at home, or using weight machines if you are comfortable and you are back at the club. But you certainly don't have to be, and please don't wait until you are comfortable. Okay, no bones about it. That's the truth. And I'd love your questions. Go ahead and add them below. And I will see you on the flip side with Stronger Bones. I'll also put the link to my Stronger program, which is all about boosting your metabolism, boosting your lean muscle mass, boosting your bone density while you're at home safely. Got you covered. See you on the flip side.